financial literacy. And I always wonder, like, when women teach financial literacy, and then I've seen men teach it, and it's just perceived so differently when the men are putting things out there, and I just don't understand that. So maybe you can help me understand why society, like, that's the route they go. Because is it because of how it was in the old school and it's just us not getting out of the old school way, or our audience not getting out of the old school way?
So do you feel that, are people more receptive to men, or you find that there are more men talking about it? What do
They're
you
more
mean?
receptive to the men. Like, the men are
Oh,
very
okay.
receptive to the men telling them this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can tell someone, this is what you need to do, this is the route you need to take, and they're like, mm. But then they'll come back to you a week later, like, I remember what you said, but Walter said that I need to, and it'll be exactly what you said. And then they're like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna go this way. And you're like, I promise that was you repeated what I said.
Right, right.
I don't know why they heard it differently. Do you have
I
that
think
ever
so.
happen to you?
So, so I can't say no, but if it has been brought to my attention, it hasn't been that big of a deal. But I do recognize this. A lot of times when I educate, guys seem to get triggered the most. It's always guys trying to tell me where I'm wrong, or like try to argue and go back. It's never women. I don't think I've
Right.
ever had any like crazy contradicting comments. But I think coming from again, I can't speak for a man, but I am very educated. Some men can be intimidated by that.
Yeah.
But to me, it really personally, it doesn't matter to me. I think whatever, everybody can teach you something, whether they are male or female.
Right.
Um, for me, I just kind of stay in my lane and kind of align with what speaks to my heart and what works. But
Right.
for me, if it's a girl or man talking about it and our community is learning it, then I'm down. Because when I was on Wall Street, nobody was really talking about investing. So I love it either way.
Like, do you think is the most important thing that people can take away from your seminars? And you do think,
So when I started my company, Emplify, it was to financially empower the 99% that Wall Street often overlooks. So how do we give the basic fundamentals to show you how to grow your wealth, preserve your wealth, and protect your wealth, no matter who you are, what you look like, or how much money you do or do not have? But the biggest thing that I would say is my core and who we are and what we do is showing the world how to invest, because you cannot save or work your way to wealth. So how do we show the world how to invest? And I truly believe there's two ways to truly build wealth in this country. One, you either invest in yourself or you invest in somebody else's business. That's
right,
it. So you can invest in your own idea, your own business, or you can invest in somebody else's business and somebody else's idea. Because there's so many people who save money, but they still aren't financially free. There's so
right,
many people who work really, really, really hard and they still aren't financially free. So there's something more to this than go to school, get a job, and then buy a house. Like there's just so much more that I don't
right,
think we are taught. And if you're not around it, then how would you be expected to know it? And because I worked on Wall Street, because I worked with millionaires and billionaires, I saw a completely different lifestyle. I saw a completely different way they managed their money and how what they just did, where they shop, live, travel. I saw so many different things.
right. Their
And
mind,
instead of feeling discouraged by it, I said, I can do this too. They may have started with 100 million. I started with $100, so I really believe that investing is the core to what we do and who we are and the foundation of what really will help us build wealth in this country, because we are really good at working for money and we are
right.
phenomenal at spending money. But
Phenomenal. I got that
how do
A.
we give our money a job?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But how
yes,
do we put
I
our
hate
money to work?
spending.
Like, how do we give it a job? Right, right, right. How do we give it a job? How do we tell our money how to go make more for us without us having to use our physical labor to do it, but investing our money in a way that can give us a return on our investment? And I think it can be
Right,
done. We just weren't given the tools. We weren't in the environments. So it hasn't become a
right,
standard of life the way it has been for wealthy people who grew up in wealth or who created wealth and properly passed it down.
right. They automatically were inclined to look for different
Right.
resources in order to make their money make money, as you say. So what would be the
Mm-hmm.
top every day my girlfriend in LA, she's obsessed with how to make money on the side. So
Mm-hmm.
and she's this person that's retired from the city of Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
retirement income is like 7 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
So she got time today, basically.
Uh-huh.
But really, you would think so, but she doesn't because in her mind, she has to be making money every day. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
acting like she doesn't have a penny that comes in, right? So she's sending me recession proof. Everything is recession proof. From doing surveys to clipping coupons. If I go on
Mm-hmm.
my DM, I'm like, is she just put that in there like she scheduled it? But I asked her one time, how many of these things are working for you? Because I
Mm-hmm.
said, where's your check at?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your check from just one of these? Show me a check. And she just kind of
Mm-hmm.
rolled
Okay,
her
and can we
eyes at
do a
me, but
drop
I
for
was like,
Upscale
dude, you're
Magazine?
putting all these things in there, but
What's
it's
up, y'all?
all
It's Tara Wells
effort
from
you're
Love and
doing.
Hip Hop.
But
Also, now
Right.
I
where
Love
is
Me
the
More.
return?
Please make sure
You
you
know,
check
Mm-hmm.
after a
out
month,
Upscale
after a
Magazine.
week, if I don't see no return, I'm like, oh
Hey
yeah, I'm not
y'all, it's
doing
your
it no
girl,
more.
Dr. Jamila T. Davis. And if you not tuned in to
But
Upscale
I'm just
Magazine, then
like,
you ain't got the
no,
tea.
doing the
Make sure
surveys,
you
like
check
that
it
ain't
out,
it. Like
Upscale
it's got to
Magazine.
be a
And it's
better way
going
for you.
down.
But I don't know a better
Yay!
way to tell
And
her.
I love it.
And I
A
see
separate
that they can
interview for
invest.
customers.
Maybe I need to hook y'all two up together. Okay? Because her going on her own initiative, like, no, I'm like, it looks good on Instagram and people say
Mm-hmm.
that's because they want you to listen and tune in. That doesn't mean it's
Right.
absolutely working. Okay. Like you saw it didn't work immediately. So what are the top 3 ways to invest in your mind? What do you think? Like the top 3 things for a person who has a budget under 500, and then we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go into 5,000 and then 50,000. Okay.
um,
So
so
$500, I'm coming to you like, girl, here's my 250. What we gonna do? What we gonna do first?
okay. So I would say my mentality is a little bit different. I truly believe that something of true value and sustainability, you can't get it quickly.
Yes,
So I always tell people, I'm not the girl you come to if you want to get rich quick, because anywhere you can get rich quick, you can lose money just as quick.
yes,
I come from a very old school, boring Wall Street background where how do I teach people to take what they have and ensure that they are set for the rest of their life as long as they build? How can I put people in a position to ensure that they are financially set, but their children are financially set and they don't have to make the same mistakes that their parents made because they didn't have the resources? How can I put people in the best position so that God forbid something ever happens to them, their family is financially set? For me, I truly believe that being rich is having a lot of money right now, and being wealthy is having a lot of money generation after generation. And
yes,
so I like to think of myself as a wealth builder. How can I teach people to start with what they have? You can still go about your everyday life, but if you are willing to spend your money and give your money to multi-million dollar, billion-dollar businesses, like if you sat and just thought about from the moment you woke up today to everything you did with your time and money, from the food you eat to the clothes you wear to the toothpaste you brush your teeth with, the soap you use, the car you drive, everything you do allows somebody else to make money off of you, which is
yes.
fine. But how can you get a piece of the pie? How
Huh.
can you say, while I'm living my everyday life, how can I take a portion of what I have that, one, I'm comfortable with, two, that I am committed to doing on a consistent basis and putting that to work? So now you're talking also somebody who quit her Wall Street job, follow her dreams, started her business, right? Those people
Yes.
who want to go start businesses, I'm totally down to do that. But if you'd have told me I was going to go through what I go through now, I might not have signed up to do this entrepreneurship thing. Okay.
You never not
Um,
working, right? As long as the internet is up, then you are
listen,
ready for
but
business.
one thing I would say too is what, however people decide. So I'm a firm believer in investing.
Okay.
And again, not investing to turn your money into $1 million,
Okay.
investing so that with time, you can position yourself so you never have to work again a day in your life. With time, you can build. So if we can work 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of your life, then you better be able to invest just as long, because you can put yourself in a position. There are people who are 50, 60, 70 years old and they still have to work because they have to, not because they want to. How
Right.
can you put yourself in a position where what you wish you would have learned as a kid,
Right.
you start doing it today, so that in the next 10 years, life can be different. The other thing I would say too is I'm a firm believer in doing things that generate money with intention, right?
Mhm.
So let's take your friend you're talking about. What do you want money for, right? Like, do you just want to make an extra $1,000 a month to do what, right? Like, what do we try? Are we looking to make an extra $5,000 so we can take that trip to Europe that we want to take? Are we looking to make that extra couple thousand so that we can pay off some debt, right? Move with intention
Yes.
and determine a time horizon. Because, for example, she can drive Uber for 2 months to hit her financial goal to make the money she needs to achieve the results she's trying to achieve. Now, if you're smart, you're not just trying to make a quick flip to go take care of something, because I'm pretty sure if you got to take care of one thing, it's going to be something else.
Right.
It's about building longevity and consistency so that it's reliable. The same
Yeah.
way she has that reliable income coming in now, how long did she have to work to get that sense of ease? Right?
Hello.
So can you, which is why I feel like you're not going to get rich quick, but if it took her 20, 30 years to get that with ease, what if you can do that in half the time, but you made the commitment? You weren't trying to do anything and everything. You did what felt right, what you were going to commit to, because like you said, how many of these things are working for you? But the question is, how often are you working for it? Right?
Right.
We can buy classes and we take it, but we don't implement what we learn. We can go to a conference, we can feel good, but we don't implement it. We
Preach.
like the idea of having money. We don't want to do what it requires to create it and to sustain it. That is a mentality shift. So there is no thing that is going to work, because I'm pretty sure we would have heard of it by now and we all would have did it. But when we think about the richest people in the world, like that have, we're talking about the Walton family, that's the Walmart family, like their kids are set. The Rockefellers are the Rockefellers because not only have they created money, they've learned how to sustain it generation after generation. That is a mental shift. There was no one thing that did it. There was a mentality shift that allowed them to sustain that. And I think that's what's important.
Yes, that is important. And execution. Like people see you're self-employed and they like, oh, like, well, when is she working? Like, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't even have the time to even tell you, like,
Right.
because I'm one of those people that believe you have to have multiple streams of income. And if the pandemic didn't teach you that, then either you were wealthy, you were being taken care of, or you were hiding under a rock just hoping to survive.
Right.
And that wasn't the goal. Okay. But
Right.
it taught me a lot of things to be happy about: having your affairs in order, which is your financial affairs, your tax returns, claiming things, the business. If you, the employees that you have, no matter how minor it seems, you still need to have stubs for them and pay them, and not just be Cash App and Zelle, like proof in a business
Right.
that you're paying someone. So those things we kind of take for granted, but like with me being, when you're self-employed for so many years and do contract work, you get it, because if you don't work, no, you're not going to get paid on your day off. Right. So every day you don't work, you can be working. But I don't even, it doesn't even register in my mind, like not doing something constructive that's
Right. Right.
pay out for you. It just,
Mm-hmm.
I can't comprehend that type of of
Right.
thinking and language.
Right.
That
No, I
language does not
understand.
speak to me. It's like, are you speaking Greek? No, is that what
Right.
is that? Yeah, so that's why it's so important. But it's good to see beautiful Black women, who understand, who went and got educated. Now, what took you to Wall Street in the first place?
um, if I'm being honest, I just wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted
Where
to
were
make a
you
lot of
born?
money.
Where were you born?
So you said where?
Uh-huh.
Oh, so I was born in Philly. I went
Okay.
to Howard,
Okay.
and I always wanted to be on Wall Street. So I wanted the suits, I wanted the prestige, I wanted the money, I wanted the clothes. Like, it was the idea of success that I chased. I
Yes.
also liked math and I also liked business. So I'm like, why not major in finance? You want to make a lot of money, major in the subject of money. So when I went to Howard, I saw that Wall Street, when you got internships, they were paying like $10,000.
Right.
And I was working at Foot Locker when I was in high school. So I never had $10,000. I want that job. So I did everything I could to just be on Wall Street. And I
So you
think
were
it was what
intentional.
I said it again.
You were intentional.
Oh yes, yes,
I
yes, yes.
like
Oh yeah.
that.
So
That's a very
yes,
good word, to
yes,
be
yes,
intentional. Because people
yes.
looking at you, they just see, oh, she's gorgeous, she's
Oh
smart.
yeah, no.
Oh, okay. But they don't know that you put in
Mm-hmm.
the work, like
Right.
shovel and dig in. I mean, just to go to educate yourself, then to graduate, then to have a
Mm-hmm.
plan, and then to execute it. So you
Right,
have to be
right.
intentional and execution. But then
Mm-hmm.
you got there, everything was going smooth, and you realized, was it through looking at documents of people that were really making money that they were self-employed?
No, so interestingly enough, I would say 8 months in, I wasn't happy. I've learned, I'm 35 now, so years later, I've learned I have to create some big, audacious goal. And I forced myself to rise to the occasion to become the woman I need to be to attain the things that I like or want. And I did it. And I felt like there's got to be something more. Like I
Right.
wasn't
Like, this is
happy.
it. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
feeling
like it just it was like I did the thing. I got the Wall Street job. I graduated college. I got the honors. Like I got the money, but like what else is out there? And when you're also around millionaires every day, from I saw their houses, I saw their bank accounts.
right.
I started to eat at fancy restaurants. I started to travel like them. I would go to the games with them. There was this life that like I wanted this. And when you're making the fee that a billionaire pays in one of their hundreds of mutual funds,
Right.
it's like I'm shooting at the wrong basket. Like I know more about how to manage all the money they had because I worked with a team of people who helped manage their money. And
Okay.
I knew so much. And I'm like, well, I know more. I'm like, tell me how you got the wealth, right? Because even if I stayed at this high paying job for 10 years, I still wouldn't have been qualified to be a client. And
Wow.
so I'm like, I'm shooting at the wrong basket. So that's when I started to study our clients. So I would look up all of them. I would read all the books they were reading. And I
Wow.
truly believe that success leaves clues, like follow the blueprint. They invested their money. I'm investing my money. They have multiple accounts for different purposes. At that time, I had like two. I opened multiple accounts for different purposes. So instead of feeling like I wasn't good enough, it kind of was like, well, I belong in this room. Let me learn how. So it actually inspired me. But the
Right.
one thing I would say is, like I said before, they all invested in their own idea or somebody else's idea. And
Yes.
it was, you couldn't talk to our team unless you had $25 million. Like, if not, you got sent downstairs. So it was a different level of ultra high net worth that
Right.
I wanted. And so I got to a point where I wasn't fulfilled. I felt like God put me here for something bigger. But interestingly enough, I always wanted to be a teacher. Nobody knows that. I always wanted to be a teacher, but I
And
felt like
you already
teachers
knew.
didn't make money. So that's why I went the money route. So I worked on Wall Street because I wanted the money. I didn't want
Right.
to be a teacher because I wouldn't have got Wall Street money.
Yeah.
But
Look,
when
now
I
you get
left my
Wall
job,
Street interest.
yeah.
Don't get them interest that thing, being a teacher.
Yeah. And so when I left, it was something inside of me that said, I'm here for something bigger. I want to be able to take what I saw, what I learned, and give it to people that will never make it to the 27th floor of this building the way I did.
Right.
I can't tell you where it came from, but I knew what it felt like. And I knew I was going to be the woman to do it. Now, I had no idea what I was about to do. I had no
Right.
idea how I was going to do it, but I knew why, and I knew I was going to be the person to do it. So when I left my job, I had $30,000. I was like, in my mind, I was rich. I had just randomly got my real estate license. So just in case I needed to go sell some houses or I don't know. Um, and it all just kind of fell into place. I ended up becoming a financial advisor. I was built that business for a while, and then I got joy out of education. Like when you're a financial advisor, you either make money for assets that you manage or for
Yes.
the products and services you give people. But I was connecting the everyday person to products and services and companies that they would never talk to, and I was the middleman. So when I started to see
Right.
these companies making all this money, and I'm helping all these customers, it
Right.
kind of was like, I like the education part. Like even as an advisor, you can only talk to so many people. So I'm like, I want to teach. And again, it was more off of what felt right. So when I stopped my financial advisory business, I wanted to teach kids. It was like I want to educate. Like something inside of me was so much bigger than what my thoughts could embody, that it was like I just got pulled and called to do this. And in 2017, my company, I left Wall Street in 2014, but in 2017, my company, Emplify, that was the first time we made any money as a company. So I came up with the idea in 2013, but we didn't make any money as an actual entity till 2017. And that year we were in 26 different schools teaching financial education all across Philadelphia. And it kind of just took off from there. So I never really had a plan. I always had a feeling. I always had an intention, and I always saw the end result. So I can't unsee what I want for the world because I see it for myself. I'm living it for myself. But I saw rich people do it. So I feel like a rich person can't go teach the audience that I serve, but I can do it. You know, I understand you. I understand Wall Street. I understand America. I understand the banking system. So I have a very unique perception of money from a holistic view. So I'm able to communicate with all parties. And so it was just something that just felt good. So I very rarely operate off of logic. Whatever feels right, I do. If it doesn't
Yeah.
feel right, I got to make a change. And over time, as by the time I turn 35, which I am now, I see a pattern. I see a pattern when I got to go bigger. I see a pattern when I've obtained all my dreams. Now it's like, well, what's the next big thing? Like, what is that next thing you want to have or accomplish for the world that forces you to level up who you are as a person? So I kind of just, I wouldn't even say I fell into this, but
Right.
when you read my journals back when I was on Wall Street, it sounded like I was going to quit. It sounded like I was going to make this company called Emplify. I just called it It. Like I didn't have a name for it, but I knew it was something to financially and strengthen the world. And it all kind of fell into place as I grew and as the years progressed.